Hey Grace Church, my name is Josh. Welcome to the weekly for the week of October 29th. Today we are talking about being a rebuilt people. So almost 2 years ago to the day, I preached my first sermon at Grace Church. And I realized that many of us are new to the team. On our staff team, 7 out of 13 of us have been here less than 2 years. Our elder team is less than 6 months old. And so God is doing a new thing. And we've been trying to balance this vision with patience and with urgency. So as we move things forward, we would talk, and I would talk to Scott and get excited about using our building for God's glory. I would talk about making disciples with Jesse and get excited. It didn't seem to be a problem to find excitement. It just seemed to be the question of how are we going to pull all of this off? And so I would find myself getting excited about the vision God's given us to make disciples. And the people that we were building would be amazing. But you would look around the facility and then my excitement would instantly go away because everywhere you looked, we had so many needs. So I told a story that has just been blowing me away recently. On Tuesday, October 25th, I came into a pastoral meeting really frustrated about the state of our building. We have pipes that don't work, we have windows that leak, we have the roof that's letting in water. And so I wrote down all the needs we had on a whiteboard. And I just wrote, pay off debt, fix the pipes, counseling center, cottage to coffee shop, repave the parking lot, make our kids space ADA accessible, like all these things. And we did the math and it added up to $1 million. That's how much we needed. And so I hit the whiteboard and said, oh God, what we could do with $1 million. Fast forward 5 days later, Julie gets a letter saying that a man named Leland Buck has passed away and left us a gift. And God is my witness. 5 days after that pastoral meeting, we got $866,000 from a man who used to attend our church. And it's blown me away. All of us, the elders, pastors, staff team, is blown away by God's grace towards us. And it just leads us to this invitation of God saying, hey, I see you. I want to move things forward. Would you join me in that? And we desire that. In Matthew 25, you see this urgency and patience story played out in Jesus giving a parable of the talents. And it's like 16 verses, so I'm not going to read it all to you, but I'll just tell you the story. There's a story of a man who leaves different amounts with his servants. And then he comes back and holds them accountable to what they've left him. And so for one guy, he gives 5. When he returns, that man has made 5 more in return. For one guy, he gives 2. That guy's given 2 in return. And then for one guy, he gives 1. And here's what happens. At the end of this, the guy with 1, he doesn't do anything with his talents, but instead he buries it because he's afraid of his master. And the response that Jesus gives is really harsh. In verse 26, his master replied, "You wicked, lazy servant. If you knew that I harvested where I had not sown and gathered where I have not scattered, then shouldn't you have put my money in a deposit with the bankers so that I would return, at least receive it back? So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has been given more, and they will have an abundance, but whoever does not have, it will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And so the feeling of this text is heavy because Jesus is asking us to take what we have and maximize it for his glory. He's not allowing us the patience to do nothing with the gifts we've been given. He's telling us we can't just hang in there and wait it out, passively preserving our life, but rather he's giving us the reality that we don't own anything. We're stewards to everything. And God has given us everything we need to do what he's called us to do. And so are we leveraging our gifts for his glory, or are we burying our talents? And so we just very candidly talked about how we feel like as a church, we need to take what we've been given and transition it to something that can be maximized for God's glory. And I told you the story about the Queen Mary, which was this luxury cruise liner that existed to take people from New York City to England. And in its luxury liner days, it could take 3,000 patrons across the sea. But then this ship was enlisted in World War II, and it transitioned from a vessel that could hold 3,000 people to a ship that transported 15,000 soldiers at a time, and the whole ship was turned upside down to accommodate a mission. And so that's what we feel like is a fitting example for our church. That we put before you a vision of transforming our space into something outfitted for mission. And so the invitation was really simple. Would you help us rebuild? Would you help us bring this thing to life? And And we joked about the Vision series almost being called Get Your Ship Together, as a way of saying what needs to happen around here is things need to be put in order. And we want our aircraft carrier put in order. And so that takes two things from us. One is, where can you serve? It's our hope to go to 3 services in February. Can you join in? This next week at church, we'll have an opportunity for you to serve. We need your gifts. We need you to come to us and tell us what we're good at, what you're good at, so that we can use your talent. And then secondly, we said, how can you give? The truth is, God and Leland Buck have put us on third base, but we're inviting you to join us in getting across the finish line. And so it is our hope between now and January 1st that we as a church could raise $150,000. This isn't your typical offering, but this is your typical tithe. This is in addition to that. We're inviting you to join us. And between all of us, we believe that God can get us across this finish line. And so whether you're serving or whether you're giving, the question is, do you have a heart that wants to rebuild with us? Because that's what we're asking of you. Rebuild with your life and rebuild with your finances. And by God's grace, we will be able to see transitions from the cottage to a coffee shop, that the counseling center can come to life, that we can get out of debt, that our windows can be repaired and prevent the rain from coming in. And we would just have a place where the pipes work and things are ADA accessible and everything's going for the glory of God. So it doesn't matter the amount, but we're asking you, would you prayerfully consider serving and would you prayerfully consider giving? And by God's grace, we can rebuild this thing together.